Hi you guys, welcome back. It's Donna here from Australia and I'm showing you how to make the most beautiful things to put in your junk journal. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make these adorable little cotton reel dangles. There are no jewelry tools needed. I've been thinking of you. I make sure I make stuff that I know you can make without extra tools. They're made out of paper and you can make easily 10 or more of these in a day without any trouble at all. It's no secret I love minis, mini charms, mini everything. If you think they're too small for you to have a go at, I reckon you should still watch this video anyway because they are so damn cute. Seriously, it's the ultimate scrap buster project. So let's get started. We're going to make the paper straws first. We're going to make the paper straws out of any old magazine papers. You know, these paper straws, you can just tear out a page, but the only difference is we're going to use a bit of glue to secure them because the straws, when we cut them up, will fall apart. So just tear out a single page, fold it in half lengthways, and what I do to cut it down the center is I just cut off the fold line, and that will give me 2 single pieces. I'm not needing a full piece, so I'm just going to do this again by folding it in half and slicing off the fold line again. You only need to slice off a teeny tiny bit. This is just a cooking skewer. I'm using a very small one, a very skinny one. Put your piece of paper on the diagonal. Start off by just rolling it up. Now when you start rolling, add some glue to it, because if you don't, when you cut these into little spools, they'll unroll. When you get to the end, just roll it with your hand while it's on the skewer to make sure all that glue is stuck good. Try not to roll it once it's off the skewer because you'll flatten it. It's hollow inside. So here's what I made earlier, and I with the full piece of paper and kept going and going. It just got too big. So that's why I've just used a small bit. And here's what I mean by if you don't glue it, it will just unravel. So now we're going to cut our spools. My mat here has got 1-inch squares on it. So I'm going to use it as a guide, and I'm going to cut my first one at 1 inch. But I think it's a little bit long, so I put it on my ruler and then I resize it to 3/4 of an inch. If any part of it starts to unravel, just glue it back down. You can make this part of your spool any length you like. Depends on what you're going to wrap on it. Now we're going to make our little mini discs or rounds, whatever you like to call them. I'm just using a recycled piece of cardboard. You've got to make it thin enough so that your punch can handle going through it. So I'm using a 1/4 inch round hole punch, and I've turned mine around so that it punches the holes down on the table and they don't fly up everywhere. And I've punched out double what I need because I'm going to glue 2 together to make them a little bit thicker. If your punch can handle punching out thicker cardboard, you might only need 1 layer. But be kind to your punch and glue a couple of pieces together. You don't need it real thick. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the bottom layers of my rounds. And then I'm going to get my top layers and just sit them all on top. Now pick them up and just level them. Level the top with the bottom. If your glue's still wet, they'll just slip and slide all over the place. So just do this lightly and let them dry while you're getting your decorative papers ready. We're going to make teeny tiny little covers to go over the cardboard disc on both sides, on both ends. I'm just using dictionary paper on my first one. You can use whatever papers you like. You don't need much. Again, we're using our scraps up here. Cut 4 per cotton reel. This one here, I'm using a vintage ticket, and this one is some packaging. It's not cardboard, it's a very light craft paper. It's a little bit firmer than paper, but it's not cardboard. So don't use anything too heavy. You just want something light. This blue one is a page out of the shopping magazine that I used to make the straws. So you can use whatever you want. The spools you don't get to see because you're going to cover them. You'll only see the ends. Now you've cut your coloured discs, you can glue them on top of your little grey cardboard. Just put a bit of glue on one side, stick the coloured paper on that side, turn it over and glue your coloured piece on the opposite side. Get these all done, and it is very important that you leave these to dry. Walk away, go and make a cuppa and come back. They must be left to dry. All right, now your discs are dry. You need a pokey tool for this one. If you've got a cutting mat, just put them down and get your pokey tool and just find the center of your disc. Just start it off and push it all the way through your rubber. If you haven't got a rubber or a self-healing mat, just use a phone book or something. And then press it down because it sort of leaves the back with a bit of a bulging hole in it. So if you press it down with your finger, that'll flatten it back down. So again, start your hole on the table and then push it into the rubber. Take it off the pokey tool and flatten it with your finger. You can use your bone folder to flatten it as well. Go through and do them all in one go. I find it easier to do it like a production line. We've made our spool, we've made our round ends. Now we're going to put them all together. I'm using this cotton here. It's a crochet knitting cotton. If you use a string, it might be a little bit thick. You won't get it through these small holes. So this knitting and crochet cotton is perfect. You can leave it white or you can colour it like I've done here with some coffee. I've cut off about a 10-inch length. Now this cotton is 3-ply. When you go to thread it, you'll need a really big eye needle. So pinch it really close to the end of the thread and then feed it through the eye of the needle. The first thing I'm going to do is tie one knot in the end with a little short tail. Now pick up your little disc and with the good side of your disc facing your right hand, feed the needle through the hole. Now don't pull it hard on the knot, just let it sit there. Now put the needle through the shank of your cotton reel and let that sit there. Now pick up the other disc and you want the ugly side of the hole to go towards the shank and the good neat side of the hole facing towards the outside. We got the knot around the shank and around. I use and recommend Belly Art glue. It's got a skinny nozzle. It's industrial strength glue. That means it's super strong. Starting on the end where you've got the knot in the bottom of the thread, put the nozzle in the straw. You only want to go in a little bit and fill it with glue. You're not filling up the whole straw, just the end of it. Then add some glue around the top edge of the straw and around the whole part of the disc. Pull the thread a little bit and then line the disc up on the center of your straw. Then come back and pull the thread until the knot hits the disc. Don't pull it hard, just make it rest on the disc. You got to remember that your paper is hollow. If you do anything too harsh, it'll just crush it. Now turn it around and go to the other end. And you see what I mean by it's hollow? You've got to remember there's not a lot of paper here. So just fill the opposite end up with a bit of glue and go around the top of the straw as well and on the disc. While you're holding your crochet thread, push your disc onto the straw end. Now while you're pinching the thread here, you can pull the thread down, and what this does is cause the two discs to sandwich the straw in between them. If you've got any glue, you can wipe it off with a pin. I haven't got a lot of glue here, but I'm doing this to show you that if you do get excess glue, you can take it off. But this glue is white when it's wet, and when it dries clear. If you haven't got a pair of pinch tweezers like this, you'll have to hold it until it dries. But these tweezers are really good. When you pinch them, they open, and when you release them, they stay closed. So I'm going to leave them on here until this dries. You cannot handle this little cotton reel until it is perfectly dry. Don't try to put any ribbon on it or any cotton thread or anything, because it will just fall apart. So you must leave it to dry. If you don't have a little hole punch, you can use buttons. The little coloured ones are 8mm and this one here are 10mm. I'm going to use this crochet cotton on this one, and I'm going to double it. So I used approximately 30 inches of thread, and I am going to come up from the wrong side of the button. So my little loop is on the right side. I'm going to leave my needle in, and I'm going to come through one side of my straw piece. I'm then going to swap my needle to the other side and come through with the second piece of the thread so that the button is going to be secured on one end. Then I'm going to leave the needle in that side, and from the wrong side of the button, I'm going to bring my needle up so the right side is showing, and then I'm going to take the needle off. This is going to form a tail. And then I've got to put the needle back on the opposite side so I can thread that through the other side of the button. Right, so I'm just going to take the needle off, and I've just got these buttons here in place of my little cardboard discs. So if you've got any of these bulb pins, you can push your thread out so that it forms a loop here, and you can pop one of these bulb pins in the loop before we glue it in place and tie a knot on the other end. So I'm just going to pop the bulb pin in this loop here, and see with my right hand how I'm pulling my thread down. It's going to just secure it on the other end. The trick here is not to pull it down too tight. You want to have a little bit of room so that your bulb pin can actually move. And then we're just going to go ahead and glue these buttons in place the same way we done with our paper discs. Once you've pulled your threads down, you pinch them, and you either hold it till it's dry, the same as we did before, or you get your tweezers that can hold on to them, leave it there until it's dry. Once it's perfectly dry, you can then go ahead and tie a knot in this crochet thread. You've got to remember it's doubled thread. Cut the tails off, and you've got a little tassel hanging off the bottom. The difference is, On the one with the bulb pin in it, you use the bulb pin to hang your charm. On the other two, the crochet cotton is what you use to attach your charm to either a clip on your journal, an eyelet, or actually you could even tie that to a bulb pin and then put your bulb pin onto a fabric tab or anything you like. Now I've made quite a collection of mini cotton reels here. I can't help myself. As soon as I make one, I've got to just keep going. The ideas keep coming. Now for the fun part. You can put whatever you want on your little mini cotton reels. This one here is a nylon thread. For this one, I use the loop method to wrap around because nylon thread is known to be, it comes undone. As soon as you start wrapping it around, it's just going to spring off. So I thread this around, but if you don't have any nylon thread, just use a cotton thread because you can use glue to start it off and finish it off. You can use your tiny little scraps of seam binding. It doesn't matter if it's crinkly. The crinklier, the better. I just use some fabric glue. I just put a little bit on the straw. I just start with a flat piece. Lay that in the glue and just wrap it around the straw. I twist it and turn it until I get it where I want. This is a white piece of seam binding that I've coffee dyed. It looks fabulous when it's all wound on. So use up your scrap pieces of seam binding. They look fabulous. This one here, I used a vintage ticket. So you can use paper if you want to. You don't even have to wrap anything on it. I just got an old ticket. I tore off one piece and I wrapped it straight. You don't have to put it on an angle. Just use the tube itself and glue your little ends on just as if you were making the cotton reel, but just don't add any ribbon on it. I just use the number parts of the ticket for the feature of the rounds on the end and put my string on it. And this is, I'm going to use this as my charm. I'm not going to put any thread or any ribbon on it. I really love this one. I think this one turned out really cool. This one here, I'm using a pretty pink. It's sort of like a shabby chic, I guess. The rounds that I've got on the end are white with a little bit of pink flowers on them. So when I finished wrapping my pink lace on, this one here, I'm going to pinch it so that I get a little bit of a frill. So what you do to do that is you put a bit of glue on the inside and leave a loop. See near the left here, you've got a little bit of a gap. Then put some glue on the outside and fold that gap down, and that will get you a pleat. Then put some more glue on the bottom side. See how I've left a little loop there? Lay that lace down on the glue that you put on the bottom, then put some more glue on the top, then pinch that like a pleat and lay it down on the glue again, and just keep doing that all the way around the top until you've got yourself a little sort of a lacy skirt. Leave another little gap there and finish it off with another little bit of glue and lay it down. You could do layers of this if you want to get extra fiddly. But this one turned out so cute as well. It would look gorgeous on a shabby chic journal.